So, Nadad, what kind of name is that anyway? You say you're an electrical engineer. Well, tell me, why should we hire you? Well, I have an electrical engineering degree from an accredited university. Oh, well, if you are indeed a degreed engineer, go ahead and solve this differential equation. Final question. How many pennies would it take to stack up to the top of the Empire State Building? The Empire State Building? A penny? I don't even know what that looks like. I don't know. Next. How can you prepare for your engineering interview and not have that nightmare? We'll go over 3 different types of interviews that you can have. First is a phone call. Then of course there's a video call, and they've gotten a lot more common now. And finally, there's the in-person, and that is your ultimate goal, to secure an in-person interview. Before we talk about the different interview types, let's first talk about preparation, and this cannot go understated. So first of all, always know what position you're interviewing for, and also know a ton about the company. Do your research, go on Google. If you have a friend or classmate who's working there, pick their brain. Learn as much as you can about the company, the type of business that they're in, and what it is that they do. If you know who the interviewer is gonna be, well, Google them too. Find their LinkedIn profile, find their Facebook profile, find some common ground. And before you do any of that stuff, go ahead and if you're interviewing and looking for a job, make your social media private, meaning Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those. You can have a LinkedIn, that's absolutely encouraged. In fact, I know that when I interview somebody, first thing I do is I look them up. I'm curious. And of course, if they have a Facebook, oftentimes there'll be some things on there that probably are not appropriate, and you learn a lot about a person. So make everything private. If you're interviewing and you already have some relevant work experience, well then brush up on all your technical stuff. Make sure you can talk the talk and know what you're talking about, because if you're interviewing for a position with some experience, meaning more than 3, 4, 5 years, you'll be asked some technical questions. Have a list of questions yourself that you would like to ask the hiring manager that's going to be interviewing you. Be very inquisitive. And finally, don't forget to breathe. So right before the call, just take some deep breaths. Inhale, exhale, and just try to remain as calm as you can. The first type of interview is a phone call. First boss, if you will, the boss level in the video game. In the phone call, you certainly don't need to dress up and get all prepared and all that, but what you should do is have a really good attitude and really good feeling and get yourself mentally ready. And one of the best ways to do that is when you're actually talking on the phone is just to smile. People can sense that you're smiling when you're talking to them. Your tone changes. People want to interview somebody who's friendly and positive, okay? If you're a Debbie Downer, and maybe, you know what, that could be your disposition most of the time, but in an interview call, just smile, have some energy, try not to get too frazzled, which of course you won't be because you're already prepared. You know a lot about the company, you're not going into this blind, you know what you're looking for. If it's an entry-level position, then really you don't need to sweat too much. There most likely won't be any technical questions on the phone call. They'll just be asking you about yourself, because also the person who's calling you, they've already done one thing. And what is that? They've seen your resume and they've decided to take the extra step and spend a little bit of time with you. This phone call might only be 20 minutes or so. In that time, they're trying to see if you are a good candidate to move you on to the next level. But remember, smile, remain calm, and be prepared, and then you'll ace your phone call. The second type of interview is a video call. These have become very, very common ever since the pandemic hit. For obvious reasons, everyone was working remote. So on the video call, you want to treat that almost like an in-person. So I really recommend on the video, getting dressed up. You might not need to wear a suit, but have a nice button up if you're a guy. Ladies, of course, business attire is what's required. In fact, I've conducted many, many interviews with my senior management where we don't even have the video on ourselves. There are no distractions. All we're doing is looking at you. Be presentable in your surroundings. Pick a spot where you're going to do this. I wouldn't really do it in the middle of an untidy room. So go to a corner, find some place that has no clutter behind you, make it seem as though you're very tidy and organized and neat. If you're already a neat person, that should be no problem. But if you're not, like me, that could take some cleaning up. Make sure you smile, have a positive attitude. I know that might be hard sometimes. Obviously, it's hard when you're under pressure and you're thinking, gosh, they'll see right through you and your confidence might not be there. A smile can hide a lot of your insecurities. So just smile, Be very friendly, be professional, be courteous. These people are taking their time to talk to you. Be respectful of that. Another thing that will make the experience a little bit better for the interviewer is if you have a really good camera, and it doesn't have to be a good camera. It could just be your phone, and that's fine, but make sure then that you have good lighting. Now, lighting is super important, as I found out during these YouTube videos, but you might not have to have this big ass light like I have here. Let me show you what this kind of looks like. I'll just pan the camera around so you'll be able to see. There's a monster light. You don't have to have all of that in order to get a good video. You don't have to have a huge light and the backlight and all that stuff. No, this is for a YouTube channel. So you don't have to have all that, but really, if you have your phone, that's oftentimes good enough, or even just the camera on your computer. But then honestly, I do recommend getting one of these little cheap selfie lights, and they look like this. They might only be about $10 or so on Amazon. You get one of these lights and it sort of just lights up your face. I can't tell you how many interviews where we've called somebody, they're in a corner of a pretty dark room, you can't really see their face, it doesn't look good, or the camera is way above there. It looks like kind of like something like this or weird. So no, have the camera straight. Too much rain. I'm in an Elvis binge. In summary, for the video call, you want to dress the part, set up your camera, tidy up behind you, get some good lighting. If you've got a good window or something, that's great. You don't need this little backlight. Most people do not though. So just look presentable and smile, and of course be prepared. That was the key step that we talked about in the very beginning. Congratulations, you've made it to the in-person interview. This is for all the marbles now. You've beaten the level boss of the phone call. You've beaten the second level boss of the video call. Now you're gonna bring it all together and you're there in person. You'll be very nervous, and that's totally understandable. But you know what you gotta do? Dress the part one more time. Come as professional as you can be. Be well groomed, tidy up, be clean, be very presentable. These little things do make a difference. Ultimately, the interviewer is just trying to figure out if this person is a good fit. Don't judge me, but my wife watches The Bachelor here and there, and I watched The Bachelor an episode or two with her. And at the end, one of the girls said something that really kind of stuck out to me. She goes, I've been on so many dates and I can't talk to a guy after I get the ick. And I was like, what the heck's the ick? So she kind of explained it, then I had my wife explain it too, but apparently, this is news for guys, I guess girls already know this, but it could be just something that the guy randomly does that, I don't know, it might be maybe the way he, shakes your hand or orders food, or who knows what, or chews funny or whatever, uses the fork the wrong way. I don't know what it is, but it's some internal intuition that women have. They just kind of realize, oh no, I'm just kind of grossed out, or in some weird way, maybe not grossed out, but they've already determined in their mind, no, it's not gonna work. Long story short, it's the same exact thing that we look for in the interview. If I'm talking to somebody who's got 5-10 years of experience, no, I want them to be technically competent because I need them to contribute to my team, usually a leadership role. They might be leading a project. But if you're just coming in and you're an entry level, no, it's more of a vibe. And we've already discussed how women seem to inherently have that. As an engineering manager, I've also come to feel this thing. You start to internalize it a little bit, and then really at the end, you ask the question of, could this person help out my team? Are they detail oriented? Are they organized? Ultimately though, you're just looking for, what's the vibe with this person? Did he or she mesh well with me or anybody else who was on the interview? And will they mesh well with my team? And really it's, do I want to work with them and do I want to be around them? As people are starting out, yes, I certainly need somebody to contribute technically. Really, to be honest, because you've gone through engineering school and you have this wonderful engineering resume and you've come to this point of the interview, I know that you can learn. That's the point of engineering. You've gone through that gauntlet. It's basically been just a massive test of your ability to solve problems and learn. So most people, that is the filter. You've already gone through that. At the end, it's actually these other intangible things that we're talking about here. Kind of went on a rant there, but I hope it all makes a little bit of sense to you. If you're asked some questions that you don't know about, certainly if they're technical, take a stab at it, but if you don't know, then just say, honestly, it's escaping me right now. I'm not sure, but I know that I could figure it out. It's understood that you're under some pressure, but also the manager is looking to see how you respond to some pressure. So just last month, we interviewed a young man coming out of school. He had his bachelor's in electrical engineering with a power systems background, and we just asked him about what he knew in regards to what a substation was, what a transformer was, what the breakers do, and his answers were, to be honest, subpar. But I could tell that he was very, very, very nervous. That might have affected it. But at the end of the day, we did end up hiring him, and he's actually doing fantastic as of right now. When you're nervous, it's hard to come up with the goods and be on point. Have a good disposition, smile, and be friendly. And all of those things will give you an advantage and give you a really, really good chance of actually getting an offer. Finally, you want to ask good questions. At the end of every single interview, hiring manager and the person that you're talking to will ask you, well, do you have any questions for me now or for us if there are more than one person in the room? And this is where you want to be very, very prepared. And I know that you're prepared because you were prepared before you even got on your phone call. You can have a list of questions. They can either be on your phone or just a sheet of paper that you pull out. I mean, that'd be very impressive. You just kind of go, well, actually, I do have some questions. So one of the best questions that I've ever heard, a young man asked me, why do you enjoy working here? It threw me off. And in that moment, I realized, in a way, actually, I'm also selling him on this opportunity. That is a great mindset to have. Not only are they looking at you for the job, of course, but really, you're also very valuable. You might have more than one interview or other companies interested. They don't really know that. So in a way, they're trying to sell you. And what you can do is make them really understand that. Ask them about the company. What are some of the benefits? What is a typical career path that you can take? Ask them these questions. Let them know that you're serious about your career and you're hoping that this is in fact the right landing spot for yourself. Have that sort of attitude. Have them sell you on it. Why should I be working here? Of course, you know what you can offer them, and that's to help them out in this position, but also what can they offer you? Think about that as well. Ask about the benefits. Ask about the company culture. Ask them why they are working here still. And ask them typically what a 5-year plan could look like. So it's simply this. In 5 years' time, if I perform very well, where would I be and where would my career be and my career path? Those sort of open-ended questions that make them think, yeah, make them sweat a little bit, right? Let them know that you're also very curious about this, and those questions will let them know that you've really, really thought about it and that you've come prepared, and that is very impressive. To sum up the in-person interview, come well-dressed, well-groomed, prepared to ask questions. If you don't know something, that's fine. Simply say, I don't know, but I'm sure that I can figure it out. Ask very good questions, inquisitive questions that are gonna make them think. And did I mention smile again? That's very important. I hope you got some value from this video. And if you did, please leave me a comment below and subscribe, and I will see you next time.